Today, we're going to be talking about how to bring on an operator or a GM, right? Somebody that is probably going to be a full-time staff, like a full focus, right? I like the word full focus staff, right? Like they're basically in charge of day-to-day operations inside of the gym, which for a lot of gym owners is a big step forward towards removing yourself from being in the day-to-day operations and even coaching on the floor.
It's something that a lot of people would like to do, try to do, and they either don't have enough money to be able to replace themselves and still earn a living. That could be one thing. Another thing too is they've tried and failed before, or things went really bad. And I think a lot of people have had a combination of those, and I've had all of those. There's lots of ways where this can really enrich your life and your business, and there's lots of ways you can screw this up. Welcome to the Profit Lifestyle for Fitness Entrepreneurs podcast. My name is Scott Carpenter. I am a personal trainer turned multiple gym owner and investor who's already been through the rock bottom and near bankruptcy in the fitness business. But I've been lucky enough to come out the other side and have turned the profits of my fitness business into indestructible wealth. I'll be sharing the no bullshit strategies, tactics, and advice to win big in business and in life. So if you're a gym owner, a personal trainer, or an online coach who wants to make multiple six figures in take-home profit and have the freedom with your time to actually enjoy it, subscribe now to this podcast. This is the show for you. All right, welcome back, everybody. Welcome to the Profit Lifestyle for Fitness Entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Scott Carpenter, and with me, as always, Andy Boimila. And today we're going to talk about something that is hard to do. It's something that it's hard
scary.
To do, right?
It's scary to do, right? Like the first time you take this leap, it's a scary thing to think about doing. So, and I think this is where this whole conversation came about, because I think, you're personally pretty much going through it like right now. Like you really just brought a new one on, correct?
Yes.
And I've talked to a lot of other gym owners, and this is a topic that comes up a lot. So I thought it'd be a great thing to talk about. And it can be scary, right? So today we're going to be talking about how to bring on an operator or a GM, right? Somebody that is probably going to be a full-time staff, like a full focus, right? I like the word full focus staff, right? Like, and they're basically in charge of day-to-day operations inside of the gym, which for a lot of gym owners is a big step forward towards removing yourself from being in the day-to-day operations and even coaching on the floor.
Yeah. It's something that a lot of people would like to do or have tried to do, and they either don't have enough money to be able to replace themselves and still earn a living. That could be one thing. Another thing too is they've tried and failed before, or things went really bad. And I think a lot of people have had a combination of those, and I've had all of those. There's lots of ways where this can really enrich your life and your business, and there's lots of ways you can screw this up.
Yeah.
And tank a business. And when that business tanks, who's going back in there? It's you, right? And then you're like, shit, I'm not doing that again. And then you just stay where you're at and never try it again. Now, if you realize you want to be the person in there 40 hours a week and doing all the things and responsible for everything, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Not at all.
But if you don't want that and you have tried it and it's gone awry, it hasn't gone as according to plan, and you're like, shit, I don't want to do that again. You still can do that.
Absolutely.
But there's things you have to learn. There's right ways, there's wrong ways to do it. There's a lot of learning lessons, and that's what we thought we'd share with you guys today.
Yeah, and even if you guys, right, are sitting there going, I want to do this, but I've never done it and have no idea how to do it, and I feel like I don't have enough funds to do it or whatever, there are creative ways to create this role and bring them on where it does work in the end, right? And you can have them make a livable, if not even better than a livable wage. I mean, like, so personal story, I have a GM in my gym, right? Like she has been working with me for now 4 years. She just hit her 4-year anniversary. She's been a GM for 2 or 3 now. I honestly don't remember when I promoted her. And she runs a lot of the day-to-day operations. She coaches a lot of the classes, coaches 98% of the personal training in the gym. And obviously, I'm not going to divulge any of her financials, but what I will say is for those of you that don't think you can provide a livable wage for people in fitness, you're wrong, because she has told me on multiple different occasions in multiple different ways, basically she's making more money working for me, doing this, doing what she loves than she ever thought possible, which is Wonderful. So it can be done.
It absolutely can. I mean, I've had operators make anywhere from 50 to over $100,000, making six
Yeah.
figures while I'm making six figures.
Right.
It's absolutely possible. There's so many different ways you can go around it. And just comp plans and everything. There's no best way.
There is not. Absolutely.
There are pros and cons of any which way you would choose to compensate them. And I know how franchises have one way of doing it, right?
Right. But most people we're talking to aren't franchise owners.
Right.
So therefore, there are different ways to skin this cat. And Definitely. A lot of it comes down to what you're comfortable with, what your risk adversity is, as well as what's going to work for that operator.
That's what I wanted to get at. Exactly that.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Is as an independent operator, or even if you have a franchise, you have some wiggle room to do this, right? But you have to look at the other person. And what might be a very motivating comp plan for that other person might be a completely demotivating comp plan for another one. And you're going to be taken advantage of. And so it's not just like what's the best model with it. It's who's in front of you. Because this employment is a two-way street. And
all of employment is a two-way street, but especially this, because you're putting them in a position where they're going to be running the majority of your gym. You're entrusting them. You're handing them the keys to your baby that you have built and saying, take care of this.
Yes. I know you don't own it, but treat it like you own it.
Exactly.
Right. Which is they might even say, yes, I totally understand. But it's really hard for them. Right. Only you as the owner with the personal guarantee, with your ass on the line, you can't have them put themselves in your shoes. They're not going to get it. Right. So there's going to be limitations there. But yeah, a lot of learning lessons, a lot of learning lessons. And how are you getting yours to function now, Andy?
Yeah. So my GM right now does, as I mentioned, coaches almost half of the group classes that we have. She also coaches 98% of the personal training. And then she does what we call administrative tasks. So we compensate her based on her group classes, based on her personal training, and then a salary based on her administrative tasks. And her administrative tasks can be things like programming with me, and then, writing lesson plans and pushing that out. It can be doing athlete relation stuff, doing check-ins, client retention. So for the most part, she has her hand in just about every aspect of the business except for the kind of upper end financials. Like she doesn't handle like profit and loss statements or anything like that, and any of the real sales stuff, right? So she doesn't handle that. But other than that, she's basically a go-between between myself, who handles kind of what I like to call back of house stuff, front of house stuff, and then my wife, who handles the back of house stuff. And so that's basically what her responsibilities are. So she's there pretty much all day long for the most part. She's, there she opens up the gym every day at 5:30. She's there until about midday, sometimes later, depending upon her schedule. And then she usually has most of the evenings off. But that's because that's how she wanted to build her schedule, which I was completely supportive of. And we've built her role over time, right? Like when she first came on, she was just a coach. Then she came to us and said, I want to come full time. So we started building up her roster of group classes, of personal training, and then we started handing her administrative tasks. And basically, when we handed her group class and PT was easy, right? We basically said, listen, the more you coach, the more you make. But obviously, that's not sustainable in the long term for someone full time. Somebody gets burnt out, and we don't want that. So we said, well, let's start working on a salary role as well. So we started handing her administrative tasks. And what a lot of people struggle with is, well, how much should I pay somebody to do these salary style tasks, right? Here's how we did it. And again, there is no right or wrong answer, but this is how we do it. We did it. Essentially, we had her clock her hours to begin with. We said, how long does this thing take you? From there, we basically created a base rate, and we would pay her based on the hours that it took her to do these things. Now, over time, I don't feel, me personally and my wife the same, feel like that model works very, very well for a lot of people because they do want some type of base salary. So we said, okay, how do we convert this into a base salary? Well, we took what her average was and then basically said, you get guaranteed this every single month to complete these tasks. Now, some people may turn around and be like, well, are you having her clock her hours? Are you having her clock in and out and how long it takes her to do things? No, I'm not. Reason being is because over time, she technically should become more efficient in the things that she does. therefore having it take her less time to do. But I don't want to punish her because she became more efficient at what I asked her to do. So I'm going to pay her the same. And as long as she gets the things done that needs to be done, I don't care how long it takes her.
Mm-hmm. And so you're having her do, good chunk of training or coaching on the floor.
Yep.
And admin tasks, right?
Correct.
Awesome. And then are you guys handle then the majority of the sales?
Yep. So I handle most of the 95% of the sales. We do have a CSM who handles some of the sales with me, but I handle 95% of it. And then the upper end financials, like the profit and loss statement, that's all handled by my wife, Mary. So, I still do some coaching, and actually we're in the process. And if you guys want to follow, like if you want to learn this journey, like I'm about to go do this, we're actually going to be hiring another full-time employee. So we're going to be moving our GM into basically a head coach role, and then hiring someone as a general manager to fill that space that she's going to be leaving. During her end of year review, she said, hey, I want to do more coaching focused responsibilities. So we said, great, we'll move you into a head coach role, and then we will hire a general manager. So we're going to be splitting her role into two and creating two full-time roles out of the one full-time role we have now. And if anybody is interested in learning how we're going to be doing that, we don't have time on this podcast to go into those details. I would love to divulge how we're going to be doing that, the compensation structure that we're doing for the new GM and everything. Just shoot me a message, shoot me an email, shoot me a DM. I'm happy to hop on a call and walk you guys through it.
Nice. Thank you. And the way I kind of divide tasks up and I look at it, and well, before I even get into that, what you've done where you've taken like, hey, somebody who's good and like they want to do more or handle different tasks.
Right.
You can ease into that. It's not an all or nothing. Like if you want to replace yourself, like I just don't want to do sales anymore.
Right.
Okay.
Find somebody on your team.
Find somebody on your team who can do it.
And wants to do it.
Yep. Those are both very important, right?
Very important. And
even the capacity to do it. They need to have the time, the schedule and everything.
Right. And I would even challenge that the most important out of those three is really the wants to do it.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Somebody can be trained on how to do something. It might take a little bit longer if they're not used to it or whatever, but they can be trained. Capacity, the amount of time it takes them to do it, can get better over time. As I just said with my GM, she got more efficient at the tasks that she had. So at first, it might take someone a little bit longer and they might struggle with time management or whatever, but ideally they get better over time and it becomes easier for them. But the important one that a lot of people forget is that do not give somebody a task just because you want to offload it if they do not want to do it.
Yes. They need to be excited about doing it.
They do.
For the most part, right? And you might not even know, because this could be something that they think would be great, and then they get into it and they're like, I hate this. That can happen too. So you don't go all or nothing. Let's say you want to replace yourself in sales, right? So you have that conversation, you establish, hey, I'm willing to learn. I can do this. I've got a natural aptitude to learn this too. I want to do it, right? And I've got the capacity, I've got the time and the schedule to do it. Okay, great. Let's go. Don't hand off 100% right there, right?
No.
So you just ease into it, because they might get into it and be like, I really don't like this. This just isn't me. And you don't want to have to like promote somebody and then demote them. That's just not a good situation. So don't overcommit to things, right? If you're going to hand off some marketing things, like, can they do it?
Right.
Do they want to do it? You might both have an idea of that, but that could change a month or two into it. Or they might just suck.
They could.
And so like go into everything with like a trial period. We're just going to see how this goes. And if it's not something, right? And so it doesn't have to be a good employee that then turns bad because
it's about having that open conversation, right? Being like, hey, so we're looking to hire for this position. Is this something that you feel like you would like to do? Cool. Let's try this out. We're going to slow drip this to you. I'm going to try it out over 3, maybe 6 months, depending upon your comfort level, and see how it goes.
And so think about tasks and roles instead of positions.
Right.
If you've got a coach and you're going to start doing admin, you don't necessarily have to change that position right away. You can just add those tasks and roles on whatever that compensation is. So they don't have to be like, oh, I'm promoted to the GM
Right.
and then, oh, I'm going to go step back down. Like, you know what I mean? It's a public facing thing too. And there's ego and pride involved too. So don't rush into titles. And so my situation is a little bit different, right? I've got multiple locations.
Yep.
I'm not really involved in any of them, right? There's things I can do on the back end, like HQ, right? On books and the higher level financial stuff and some of the higher level marketing stuff, right? But I'm not really involved in the gyms at all, nor do I have time to be. And so I've kind of created it where in some cases, the operator also co-owns it now. And they were managers before or GMs before that then bought in. And that gives me a lot of safety and security, right? It gives them a lot of benefit too. They share a piece of the pie and everything they're building, which is really neat. And in some, I still don't. And yeah, I'm switching over an operator right now. The way I do mine's a little bit heavier role because I do not have time to be in a location.
Exactly.
I don't. And so when I'm doing that, my operators, their roles can be different depending on exactly where that business is at that point in time, right? So I divide everything into like 4 major things inside of a studio, okay, or a gym. So you've got, most people call it coaching, I call it training, the delivery of the fitness services.
Exactly.
Whether it's group, semi, one-on-one, doesn't matter, right? So on the floor delivery of the training, okay? Then there is nutrition coaching or a high ticket mentorship, the fulfillment of that. That's kind of what I call coaching. Gotcha. And right, it's keeping all the people in the bumper lanes and all that kind of stuff. So there's that aspect of it. Sales is a big one. That's what a lot of people find it hard. A lot of owners find it hard to hand off sales. And then there's general admin, right? And so that's kind of how I separate 4 different things in that. And I only want, a trainer can also be doing some sales if they really excel at it and want to do it. They might have limited hours, so they're one of 2 people that do sales, right? But the GM, like if it's a newer location or still building, they're probably on the floor a lot, right? They're doing a decent amount of service of the training sessions. They're handling most of the sales at that certain point. And over time, they're going to be more focused on admin, coaching, sales, and less on the floor as the business develops and they hire other trainers to offload that work. Right. It's a big difference if the gym's at $20K versus $50K a month on what they're focusing and how they're spending their time, right? But I look at all those 4, and yeah, I could have a trainer who also does some sales. If they want to do it, they have the aptitude to do it, they can do it, right? And it's a 2-way street, it works out, great. That alleviates some pressure on that operator. They might be handling most of the evening consults, right? So you don't have to work a split shift or whatever it is. You can do it like that. And so as you grow and you got somebody who wants to do more, could they be a good fit for admin? And do they want to do it? What about sales? What about the coaching or mentorship aspect? What about admin? And it doesn't have to be an all or nothing, right? No. And don't worry about titles right away. But just like you should be hiring on a trial probationary period, 60, 90 days, because anybody can appear to be whoever they want in an interview, right?
Very true.
You need time to evaluate, and it'll quickly reveal if they're a good fit, if they can back up what they say, if they're coachable, if they want to do it, because they might be like, yeah, I want to do this. And yeah, like I said, they get in like 2.5 months. They're like, I'm not any good at this. I don't even want to do it. It's just not me. I made a mistake, right? So give a probationary kind of period on that where like, hey, if we get into this, we determine that it's not something that you want to do or this or that, right? Or it makes your experience working here worse. Right. Cool. We'll revisit this, right? And, you'd be surprised sometimes though. People can surprise you. I remember Shane at Desert Ridge. I thought I was going to have to let him go. I thought he came on as a trainer part-time and he's a really good dude, but just like the energy wasn't there. His retention wasn't good because he just wasn't. And this is more PT at this point, guys. Yep. For me, it just wasn't there. Right. And so you never want to fire somebody and let it be a surprise to them. You don't.
No, I've done that, and that's an awful experience. Don't ever do that.
It's an awful experience, and a lot of times that happens, like we've skirted around having an uncomfortable conversation.
100% of the time.
Yes, Yes. I mean, guys, and we walk the walk. Like, we've made all these mistakes. Okay, guys, we're not acting like we're perfect in everything up here. We've learned this stuff the hard way. We'd rather you learn it the smart way. Put it that way. Right. And so I was dreading it because he's such a nice guy too.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I'm going to have to tell him, listen, you suck at this job right now.
Right. Which is a hard conversation to have.
It's a hard conversation to have because I don't want to tell somebody they suck and hurt their feelings. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now, obviously, I'm not going to present it just like that. But in essence, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
And I said, like, if you're going to continue, like, for you to continue working here, we're going to need to see some really big improvements here. And that's just how it is. Because, hey, getting members in here is hard. We've got to keep as many. We can't keep them all. Some is going to be out of your hands, right? But we've got to really do that. And here are some things where I can see from my observation of you on where we can improve on that. And he took it all in. He didn't get defensive, which is a good sign.
It is.
And again, he's just like more of an introvert. You know what I mean? He's not like the perfect match for what we do necessarily. But the guy turned that crap around like that. Because I didn't know if he had the aptitude for it too. You know what I mean? But man, he did it. And he showed up. And he expressed interest in doing more sales in the coaching then. And so I started teaching him a little bit that. He filled in for Jody on some of the sales, right? He actually closed a couple. And eventually Jody ended up getting pregnant and had to step out, and then COVID happened, right? So it was all this stuff, but he became the GM and ran that thing by himself.
Nice.
And but I had that tough conversation too that turned everything around.
Right. But if you never had that conversation, if he never expressed that interest either, then you guys would have never known. And
yes,
sometimes it is about that, right? So at the end of the day, guys, when it comes to hiring an operator, so first of all, we backtracking a little bit, Scott had mentioned stuff about like titles, right? And like not promoting somebody to like general manager before they're listen, titles mean nothing. Especially in our business, right? I tell my employees all the time, I'm like, look, so I'm going to hire you for this role. If you want to call yourself whatever, if you want to call yourself a ninja, go for it. Like, it doesn't really matter, right? Like the title doesn't matter. What matters is the person and then the roles and responsibilities that they're responsible for, that they're going to be performing.
Yeah.
So when you bring somebody on, or when you're looking to hire an operator, and then whatever you want to call them, you want to call them a head coach, you want to call them a GM, doesn't matter. An operator, someone that's full focus, someone that is handling a lot of the day-to-day operations within your business. There are a couple of different ways to do this. One way, like I've done, is to bring somebody up through, right, our coaching staff and slow drip them into the process. That's what I've done in the past. That works a lot. If you've got somebody on your team that fits that role, right, it can work. There are other ways to do it. You can directly hire an operator from the outside. It's a little bit trickier. There's a little bit more faith involved in it, and a little bit more, maybe faith is the word I'm looking for, right?
It's higher risk.
It is higher risk, right? It absolutely can be higher, but it can also be higher reward in the sense that like somebody could come in with the skill set that they already need to be able to perform these duties. Maybe they're coming from a different franchise, or they're coming from a different lateral move within the industry, right? Like I'm a large group model. If I've got someone coming in was a GM of an open concept, right? Of a open access concept, like a Gold's Gym or an LA Fitness or whatever, they already possess a lot of the skill sets that I'm going to need in order to run my facility, which is probably a lot easier than it would be running an LA Fitness. And so it's just a matter of what you're comfortable with, who you have on your team. And there's no right or wrong way to do this. Mm-hmm. And then once you do identify the person that is going to take over this role, there's no right or wrong way. We haven't even touched on this, on the compensation package for these people, right? Like, again, as Scott said earlier, someone that is motivated, let's say by sales, their compensation package can be very heavy on sales commission, right? And it might be very heavy on, performance indicators or KPIs, right? Like if you maintain 96% retention, maybe you get, a bonus, you get more money next month, right? You get bonuses off of certain KPIs that you hit. For some people, that can be very, very motivating. And for others, it does nothing.
They hate it.
They hate it.
Yep.
And they want something a little bit more solid and a little bit more concrete. And that's okay.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with that.
You just got to measure it up with everything and have very clear expectations. Exactly. So the thing you have to watch out for with a higher, let's call it a salary,
Yep.
right, is especially if they're like on the floor a lot, like what you have to watch out for if you replace it with kind of like a salary and maybe there's a bonus too or whatever. But if the high, let's call it a base, if
Yep.
that base is pretty high, right, the thing you have to watch out for is if you have some dips in your revenue,
Of course.
that it doesn't you have more risk. You have a higher overhead where you got to pay it no matter what the performance is.
Yep.
Right. Now that can suck, but some people can value a good base like that. What you have to watch out for is if training and coaching sessions is a part of it, you need to be very clear and have a minimum number of sessions. Because I have done it where I put somebody on a base, which they really valued, and then they started handing off a lot of their sessions to other people. So it's like
who you're also paying to
who I'm
coach
also
the
then
session.
paying. So it's like,
Right.
what in the world is going on?
Yep.
So now you're just basically you're taking more money and you're working far less.
Right.
And I'm incurring double payroll now.
Well,
Like-
exactly. That's the thing, right? Now you're paying double for the same responsibility that only one person needs to handle.
Yep. And don't think, oh no, somebody would never do it. No, this happened with, it was just an amazing person too. It's just they see the business through an employee lens.
Exactly.
They don't have your perspective. So just don't watch out for that, right? You need to be talking about that. You need to be putting stuff in writing. Put this stuff in writing is a big one too. I think we've all, even as part-timers, we've hired somebody. And I mean, I don't do class-based, right? We're overlapping personal training.
Yep.
And then, so we don't have coverage and somebody has to be there at a certain time. That's not really how it works. But what you can find out is like, if we don't write down when I'm hiring you, you agree to be available at any of these hours. Because all of a sudden you'll find out like, why hasn't there been anybody in here on Friday nights forever? You know what I mean? And the operator will talk to whatever that trainer is like, oh yeah, I don't do Friday nights anymore. I have this going on. It's like, oh, just made that executive decision, right?
Right.
So like you got to get stuff in writing and you got to be thorough because employees are going to forget things you talked about a year ago, right?
They're going to forget things you talked about yesterday.
I was being kind. They will forget about something you talked about 5 minutes ago. They're like, yep, cool, got it.
Yep.
And then they'll turn around and do something different. You're like, what?
Yeah.
So you just got to be very clear. You have to look for conflicts of interest everywhere too.
Of course.
You want to avoid conflicts of interest. And so really look to see where that could be. I mean, if one of the biggest things that you're trying to get rid of is sales, you might have to make that look very attractive to take that on. Yeah. Right. And have some good commissions and everything like that. So yeah, a lot of ways you can build these things. I built it where I've had what I really like. This is my favorite, but again, it's got to be a match for the other person, is I like a small base. Mm-hmm. For somebody who's going to be like, you're responsible for the financial performance of this business.
Right. Yep.
I like a small base, okay, like a salary, and then a big one based on performance. Mm-hmm. You could do that one based on gross revenue. You could do it based on net and like kind of phantom profit sharing.
Right.
Now, that's what I had done in the past that really blew things up too, is I had some operators with a small base and they got a good chunk of the profits and they rode it hard and they did well. Those are the ones who made six figures. Mm-hmm. So that's cool. Not everybody's willing to do that, right?
No.
And in lieu of a base salary, you could also do it where they get their session rates or whatever it is for their training too. It just depends on what they're doing for the job and how it evolves, right? With Shane, I had it a little bit different even. I had it where he got paid for his training. He got paid sales commission on the front end, 10%, and he sold a lot of high ticket sales, right? He sold a lot that were $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 for 9-week programs. He gets 10% of that, which is great. And he is the one coaching that too. So he's getting on the mentorship, he's getting paid when he does that. Right. And then I gave him a royalty on the back end. Essentially, it's like sales, a percentage of revenue on the back end. Mm-hmm. And so as he builds the business, so does that extra little base pay. But it's really all performance. Because if he doesn't train and he doesn't sell and there's no business there, he doesn't get paid.
Exactly.
But he's also able to make a lot more than other people in his position because he's got this thing going and it's running and he's putting in the work. But if he doesn't put in the work, he's going to make a lot less money. And so I like a comp plan that reflects that for somebody who's going to be like the owner, the quote unquote owner in there, right?
That's driven to grow this thing and make sure it's operating day to day. 100%. And I agree. And then it's a matter of finding the right person to do that, where that comp plan and that role, those roles and responsibilities work for them. And this is not a position that you want to dive into. You want to take your time when it comes to finding the right person. This is not like, believe me, I'm sure plenty of people here have been like, I just hired the first person who raised their hand to coach. That is not how you handle this position whatsoever, because there is so much more involved in it.
When it comes to somebody to like an outside person coming in to operate or take over, if you need like a bench, you know what I mean? You lose a person or two, you need to stay in touch with the people who have really good potential, but maybe they could be operator potential or head coach, and they'd be really good at sales. And you come across them, you do an interview or they reach out to you because they're looking for better. And you're like, man, this person's awesome. I don't have that role for you right now. I don't have that opening for you. Stay in contact with those people. Because when
things change.
Yeah. I've done that where I've hired people a year, 2 years later, because I didn't have, again, it's a two-way street. Wow, you've got this kind of rock star, but all you kind of have is like part-time evenings or mornings or something like that, which could evolve, but it's not an opportunity big enough. I know if I were to hire them, they would be in and out because it's not enough for them, right? But I've called them a year and a half or 2 years later when that opening presented itself, and then we're like, yeah, let's rock and roll. So it's, you can't always snag the best people, but like keep them in your Rolodex and check in with them. If it's something you want to be working with,
I've had that happen more than once actually, where it wasn't the right timing for either one of us or both of us, and it just didn't work out. And then a year later, it ended up working out. Another one, it was literally, I think, like right around COVID, so probably 4 years later. Like I ended up hiring them 4 years afterwards, right? Because it just ended up working out that time. And at the end of the day, we talk about hiring for roles and responsibilities. A lot of it does come down to hiring the right person. And it's finding that right person and keeping that right person, right? Because at the end of the day, like a lot of times, I'm trying to think how I want to say it. It's more about the person than it is the job.
Yes.
Right. And finding and coming across the right person, whether or not they're the exact right fit for the job, may be more beneficial down the road than finding someone who is not 100% the right person, but are a better fit for the job. I guess is the way I want to phrase that. And it's probably not very clean in how I'm saying that, but a lot of times I hire someone regardless of their prior experience, if I feel the right person for my team, because I can teach skills.
You're talking about attitude and energy.
Exactly.
And you can't teach those things.
No, you can't.
Attitude,
you can't
energy,
teach values.
Trustworthiness, values. Absolutely. Right. And you can't teach those. And if I look in the past of all these hiring mistakes, you know what I mean? A lot of them is just like, oh my God, this person's perfect on paper. They know all these things, blah, blah, blah. But then you look, they think they know everything. They're uncoachable and blah, blah, blah.
Exactly.
They've got all these skill sets and are fantastic. But quite often those people never materialize and do much just because they're not coachable. They're not a team player. They're not willing to make sacrifices.
And there's always friction. There's always friction.
Yes.
Right. There's always pushback in one way, shape, or form. And it's because you guys just don't share the same values. And so sometimes I will hire based on values and the person, regardless of their experience.
Yes. Yeah. Other things can be taught. And that goes with skill too. So you have skill and you've got the experience, right? And I can say what I'm trying to say is the aptitude for skills and then the skills themselves. So some people aren't going to be a good match for sales no matter what, right?
They're just good,
right? So keep that in mind. They don't have the aptitude to learn those skills. It's just not a good fit, but they could be a great fit in other areas. But Andy, you're totally right. Is you can teach skills to a large extent. You can teach skills to about anybody. with some limitations, but you
Of
can't
course.
teach attitude, energy, values,
You
nothing.
can't.
And I agree with you. I will hire for attitude and energy over experience and skill sets any day, period,
Agreed.
for our businesses.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep.
All
So
right. Well, I think that about covers it.
that's a good place to stop it. I mean, there's a lot. There's
There
a
is.
lot of different ways. Like, so your situation, listeners, your situation is unique to you.
Exactly.
What do you want to hand off next? Right? Is it admin? Is it training on the floor? Is it nutrition coaching, mentorship, or running other things? Is it admin? Right?
Is it sales, right? Like whatever,
Is it sales?
it's different for everyone. So if you guys are stuck and have no idea how to move forward, like I said, reach out to us. Shoot me an
Yeah.
email, right? Andrew at theprofitlifestyle.com. Shoot me a DM over on Instagram or on Facebook. Like I would love to hop on and like help you create a plan. And then if you want our help to enact that plan, that's what we're here for.
Yeah, it's just everything's nuanced. I'd love to tell you one way, guys, but like Mike in our chat, because we got to chat with all the, the gym owners we're working one-on-one with, and he was saying, hey, what's better is 2 part-timers or 1 full-timer.
And what was my first question? I was like, dude, I need more info.
Yeah, same.
Right? I was like, I can't. There's no right or wrong answer to that. It all depends on your individual situation.
And that is the absolute truth. We need more information. It's very specific about your business, where your business is going, the strengths and weaknesses, and the candidates that are in front of you for that too.
Exactly.
So, man, it's totally nuanced. And he ended up going with the 2 part-timers, which was by far the better, safer route for him.
Great for him.
And yes, absolutely. So it worked out great, and they're going great, by the way. So that's really cool. But it's so nuanced, guys. It's very, very nuanced. So we'd love to sit up here and just give you one direct answer, but that's just not business, not how it is.
Nope.
Right?
There's no easy button in this.
Yeah. Hit up one of us, email Scott at theprofitlifestyle.com, email Andy at theprofitlifestyle.com. And we'd be happy to spend, 20, 30 minutes and walk you through your situation.
Absolutely.
It's what we love doing. So
yeah.
Appreciate you guys listening. Remember, November 14th and 15th this year in Scottsdale, we are hosting a Gym Profit Summit. It's going to be absolutely amazing.
So excited.
We might have a wait list where you get on a wait list. We're going to sell out. There's going to be 120 spots. It's definitely going to sell out. We're going to open up a wait list soon, maybe by the time this is launched. So Raj, he's the guy who edits our podcast.
Yep.
If we have that link, throw that in the show notes so people can go and get a wait list. And then shortly after that, we'll actually put them up for sale. But they will go fast. I'm super excited about it.
Yeah.
And it's going to be awesome. So guys, thanks for listening. Do the like thing, do the subscribe thing. Send this to another owner that needs to hear this. Bookmark November 14th and 15th. And we'll see you on the next episode. Listen, if you're stuck and could use some advice in your business, whether you're just starting out, a veteran in the business, or expanding online or into multiple locations, you can hop on a free call with us to pick our brains at ptlegends.com/one-on-one call. You can see that in the show notes. That is with numbers. Chances are we'll be able to help you get some clarity on what you need to do specifically in your business to get to the next level. It's not a sales call. We'll connect you with the right resources to help you solve your problems. But if you want to learn more about working with us, that's cool too. We can share that information should you want it. So book your call now to get out of the rat race before your week consumes you, which is easy to do at ptlegends.com/one-on-one call. That's with the number 1 on the number 1 call. You can find this in the show notes. See you soon.